Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. My name is Stacy Jones, and welcome to another episode of Share Your Journey. Today, we do have Alexandria Niel joining us today, so I apologize for being a little bit tardy, but as we know, the my show is never complete unless I have technical difficulties. So without further ado, I am buzzing in Alex right now, or actually just flipping the screens, and we are going to get to it because we have let you all wait long enough for this well-awaited conversation. So let me get her on the screen now. Just one moment. Do. There we are. There you are, Alex. Hi, 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 hi. Thank you so much for joining me and our other members of From Daydreams to Destinations. And I'm so happy to have you here today. You are one of my faves, and I can't wait till we like get done so we can catch up. Not to be selfish, everyone, but anyway. Okay, so let's
Well,
just
thank
get
you for
right.
having me. Oh, I love your short hair.
Thank you, thank you. I was gonna color it, but everybody keeps telling me just, I don't know, my daughter
It looks
says something
fabulous.
about this gray, so I'm like, whatever, fine. It's just less work.
Own it.
So yeah,
Own it.
thank you. So, but yeah, I'm so glad you got a chance. We got a chance to do this. So we go out with a bang. We started out with Gina at the beginning of this month, and we're ending the month with you. So this is perfect, perfect, perfect. So why don't you tell everybody who
Very
you
cool.
are and where you're from? We'll start with
Yep.
those two.
So I'm originally French. I moved here back in 1985, and I now live in beautiful Red Bank, New Jersey. So we're at the Jersey Shore, but not the Jersey Shore from MTV. Like I'm talking the real Jersey Shore.
Right.
Not all that chaos and drama and all of that. And yeah, I mean, I'm a crazy aunt. I'm a foodie. I'm a globetrotter. I'm a coach, and I just love to support women on their different journeys.
Wonderful. Well, I am so glad that you joined us. So, my Facebook group is all about travel, and I do feel that everyone has travel, whether they are traveling to different destinations, everyone has a journey in their life, a journey to get to their business or becoming a mom or a free spirit. So, what I wanted to do is talk about you've got so much that I know you could talk about, but we don't have that much time today. So, that means you have to come back. That's the good thing. But can you tell
Happy to do that.
Okay. Can you share with everyone about your journey that led you to develop your amazing Facebook group, Awaken Heroine?
Sure. So it all began with my divorce. And I was married for 10 years. And, I should have known something wasn't quite right when my mother-in-law said, "Are you sure you want to marry him?" And I was like, "Yeah, yeah, I do. I'm sure." And so we went kind of, we had our journey, and I discovered some things along the way that that didn't sit well, let's just say. And in all fairness, I didn't know myself well enough to know that he wasn't necessarily my person before I married him. And that's what I tried to correct when I walked away from my marriage. And I was like, well, I also in the marriage had poured so much of me into our relationship, into his dreams, into his desires, into him being successful, that I forgot who I was. So when I came out, even though it was my decision, I was like, I didn't know who I was. I didn't know what I wanted. And so that was how I started down the path of really personal development to understand. After I was done blaming him for everything, because I didn't, I could save the marriage and it was all his fault. I came to the realization at one point that, well, it takes two to tango, right, in this relationship. So yes, he had his faults, but I also had to figure out what my role was and what my shortcomings were, because I didn't want to do that again in future relationships. And so that's what I did. I started reading and reading and reading. I had, 2 or 3 books that absolutely transformed the way that I looked at relationships. And I started going to Tony Robbins events and Brendon Burchard events. And somewhere along the way, I got certified in coaching. And in the beginning, I was really coaching high-performing women or high-achieving women into becoming high performers. But it never felt quite aligned with who I was or with my journey, because I never talked about the fact that I was divorced. I always talked about it, like I started with the train running in my personal development journey, never gone back to the origin story, which was actually my divorce. And it never worked. And I couldn't figure out why. And I realized that it was because I wasn't talking to the right people. And when I started talking to women about their journey of divorce and recovering, and not just recovering, but like really thriving after divorce, that's when everything started to fall in place. My message became clearer. My joy in the work that I was doing became went off the charts. And I decided to put the group together because I wanted to be able to provide resources to women that were going through the same thing that I went through, and be kind of like the one place where they can go, not to stay in that victim, this is happening to me, but really step into the empowerment of, this is happening for me, for my greater good. How do I make the best of this and actually really get back in the driver's seat of my life and make my life what I want it to be and not what somebody else wants my life to be. So that's a little bit of the journey as to how I came to creating Awakened Heroine.
Well, thank you, Alex, for that. There's so much in that sharing, even though it wasn't very long, it was packed. So I'm gonna kind of break it up a little bit, if you don't mind. If we can, if I do, okay.
I don't mind at all.
All right. So it all began obviously with your divorce. That was the first thing that I wrote down. So that was like the thing that kind of catapulted you into developing this group. And while you were talking, you talked about service, I guess serving other women, and listening to their journeys. So even though you weren't talking about your own personal journey, tell me a little bit about that. Did it just feel right? Like you just wanted, can you tell me a little bit more about that serving part?
So, sure. So, it's one thing to talk to the people that we know and that are in our sphere about being divorced, right? It comes up in conversation. It's a story that people are familiar with, either because they've gone through it or because somebody they know has gone through it. It's another thing entirely to splatter it all over social media and let everybody in the whole wide world know that you're divorced, right? It's a little bit differently. And so I had to learn to kind of get uncomfortable, because I wanted to be able to, for women to realize, first of all, that they are more than capable of standing on their own feet, that they get to control the narrative of their life. They get to say, this is how I want to live my life. And you know what? My opinion is the only one that matters. And if I could cut kind of some of the legwork, right, and be like, okay, I've been through it. I know what you're going through. I may not know all because everybody's circumstances are different, right? So some women get divorced, they have children. I didn't have children. Some women, the divorce gets sprung on them, so they have a different grieving period or a different way that they have, a different journey that they have to take. But at the end of the day, the outcome is different. It is the same. We want to thrive. We want to have a life that we love, a life that makes us feel fulfilled, a life where we get to attract a love that is the right love.
Hey, babe, can you try to keep it down just a little bit?
And by putting my story out there, it became the way to be able to reach women so that they understood that they have a journey, and yes, it sucks that they have to go through this, but they can also use it as fuel to really create a life on their terms that's going to really allow them to shine and be happy.
You just wrapped that up in such a pretty bow.
Oh, you're muted, Stacy.
Oh. No. Thank you. You just wrapped that in such a pretty...
You're still muted.
Am I? Okay. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, there I am. You wrapped that in such a pretty bow. Like the ones you get at Christmas and you're like, I don't even want to unwrap the present because the bow is so pretty. I don't know what to say. That's like so just, gosh, I feel that. I don't know if anybody else is feeling that out there, but I personally do. So, wow. So I just...
It's work that I believe in, and I think we don't give ourselves the credit, and we don't realize just how powerful we are. I think women can change the world, and I think it's time that we step into that, because let's be honest, the guys aren't doing such a great job.
No offense, man, but yeah.
I don't know.
Right.
Yeah, guys, exactly. No offense, but
right. I hear you. And you know what? I because you do believe in this, and it is something that you're passionate about. Maybe that's why it was what you were talking about was just wrapped in such a pretty bow. And I mean, I really saw, that divorcee and the process that you would take this woman through, and the work that she needs to do and what's going to happen at the end. And I guess that's why it's so pretty, because I'm just like, oh, it's like you just took this, I don't know, the bird that has a broken wing and nursed it back to health and fly, so that's what I was envisioning. So
that's
I
a beautiful image. Thank you for that.
Yeah, so I can appreciate the work that you're doing, and in such a time where it's so, I guess, commonplace for people to get divorced, and I think sometimes they don't realize the impact. So, but I want to go back to what you were saying, as far as the divorce or the ending of the relationship for the woman is something that didn't happen to her, but for her. Because I know we've spoken about that before, but can you touch on that a little bit? Because I think sometimes people have a hard concept or time kind of figuring that out?
Yeah, so it's interesting because it's such a small thing, right? It's happening to me versus it's happening for me. 5 letters in total, but such a difference and can be very powerful in terms of changing how we look at things. When we say that, and it's not just divorce, right, or a breakup, it's everything in life. When we approach things from the perspective of this is happening to me, it has an energy of constriction. It has an energy of, it has a bit of a negative energy going, right? Because it puts us on the receiving end, it puts us in victim mode. In that, well, this is happening to me, therefore I have no control. Versus, it's happening for me, and this is where the beauty comes in, is that if something's happening for you, then there's a greater reason behind why that is happening. And that puts you in a place of curiosity versus judgment, because when something's happening to you, you put yourself, or you get into a position where you're kind of judging, good or bad, it's happening to you. When it's happening for you, it opens things up to curiosity and asking questions, and it makes you think about, well, if it's happening for me, what am I supposed to learn? How can I do things differently? How can I change how I do things? Because it's going to help me to become a better person, a greater version of myself. And I don't know if you noticed, but as I was talking, I noticed that in the happening for you, I used a lot of I, right? So you're taking your power back, you're taking that control back, and you get to choose what is the story that's going to go along with what happened. Is it going to be a story of, you know what, my house crumbled, everything that I thought I knew about marriage crumbled, but I used every brick to make a staircase to rise above and beyond what the situation was that happened. When we were in it's happening to me mode, it's much more difficult to get out of that, because it's like you're on the receiving end of a tsunami, and you can't control that, right? You can't. It's something much more difficult to get out of. So just that little shift between 2 and 4 makes a world of difference in terms of how do you move forward from what happened.
I'm taking notes. I like this.
Oh, I can't hear you.
I'm taking notes. I'm sorry. Can you hear me now? It's not work. I don't know. How now? Good. I was taking notes,
Good.
and so I underlined 2 and 4, and I like that analogy. That's why I wanted you to break that down, because you hear it a lot. I know I use the expression a lot, because I do believe. I believe in those differences, but I like it where one is, you're being bombarded, the 2, and then 4, you have the control. So thank you for that. So I'm like writing down notes as we go. So I hope everybody's catching that. But before we wrap up, I wanted, if you could, because I always try to give our members some things other than all the things that you've talked about, and Alexandra will drop in all of her contact information down in the comments so you can reach out to her. If something resonated to you today, please feel free to reach out to Alexandra. I'm sure she would be happy to talk to you or point you in the right direction and so forth. Become part of her group if she, certainly I know I'll send out more invitations to other members that haven't gotten invitations from me to join her group as well. Um, but can you kind of bridge this for some members out there that might have been, you started your journey or you chose to, your journey to talk about your Facebook group with your divorce. And you are now where you are today, currently. So, looking back, what could you say to that individual that is right at that moment where you were when either you found out that you were going to get divorced or filed a divorce?
So it's interesting because so many things are coming to my mind. But I would say the first thing that comes to mind is to say you're going to be okay, and it's not going to be easy. It will be. There will be moments when it gets challenging, but remember that this is happening for your greater good. It may not look like it is, and it may look like we talked about, like your whole world is falling apart because everything that you thought was true isn't. But there is an opportunity hidden in there if you give yourself the chance to grieve, because that has to happen. Give yourself the chance to grieve. Get to know you and who you are, what you want, what you are growing into, who you are growing into. And so start with, let me grieve, let me make peace, and that will take the time that it takes. And then learn to be okay with you. I didn't know who I was until after I went through my divorce, because I never stopped to really think about, who is Alex? What does she want? Right? Because I was so busy pleasing everybody else and putting everybody else first that I was nowhere. So be okay and learn to love who you are, warts and all, because nobody's perfect. And once you've done that, that's when your journey really begins to really look for what is the good that can come out of the situation. And if you can take yourself through that journey, what's going to happen is that you're going to become a different person. And you're going to lay the foundation and the groundwork for, and you may not feel like you're ready for it yet, and that's totally okay. It will come in time. But you're going to be laying the foundation, the groundwork for the right person to come into your life. The person that is meant to be your person, that is going to support you and be with you. And it doesn't mean it's going to be all, champagne and roses, but the communication will be different. The connection that you have will be different. And that will all be because you know who you are and you know what you want. And until that solidifies within you, you're kind of like on the fence, right? Am I getting the right person in my life? Am I not getting the right person in my life? And until you get to that point, the universe is going to keep throwing people at you that maybe aren't the right people, but they're there because you need to learn the lesson, right? Because there's something there that you need to own and that you need to work through. So give yourself the chance to breathe. Be okay with who you are, right? Learn to love yourself. And then from there, you can rebuild and live your life the way you want to live it, not the way everybody else expects you to live it.
Wonderful, wonderful. I feel that's some awesome advice and some suggestions. And not only, like you said, not only just in divorce, but just a lot of times us as women, we have to start over for numerous reasons. You know, I'm going through this whole empty nest thing, becoming a grandma, and my son's getting ready to get married, and it's like, dude, they just like left the nest and like left. They didn't kind of just teeter, they just left. So I'm still adjusting. So I mean, that even speaks to me, even, you know, in that change. So thank you for that. Thank you. Gosh,
You're
I
welcome.
love
Thank you so
this.
much for having me. This was fun.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Well, you're gonna have to come back because we just went a little bit taste into you and your journey, and I know you have so much more to share. So you will definitely have to come back and talk about some more things. And again, Alexandra is gonna drop her contact information into the comments. Feel free to reach out. As you all know, anytime I do this, I always do personal invites to the people that I'm having a conversation with, because if you're interested, sometimes you don't figure out, can't remember the group name, whatever, I make it easy for you. I'm going to send you another invite to Alex's group. And men, if I hit you, sorry. Because it's easier for me to just hit one button. So don't take it personal. But you all have a fantastic Wednesday. Alex, thank you for ending this month with a bang, and letting us all know that we are going to be okay. So that's an awesome end for the 4th of July. You know, you got Independence Day, and at the end of it, we're going to be okay. So thank you for that. And hang out with me for just a second till we close out. So everybody, have a great Wednesday. I will see you all Friday at some point, and I will talk to you all soon. Bye bye. God bless.
Thank you, Stacy.
You're welcome.
Thanks, everyone.